The stars seemed unusually bright in this sector of space. Commander HFY stood on the bridge of his exploration vessel, watching the displays with growing interest. His long, thin fingers moved across the control panel as he studied them, readings coming from their sensors. "What do you see out there?" he asked his science officer, Rivan. "Something big, Commander. Very big. It appears to be a ship of some kind." Rivan's voice carried excitement. "The energy readings are strange, though. It seems to be drifting." HFY moved closer to the main screen. The Volani had been exploring this part of space for many cycles, mapping star systems and looking for new worlds. They had heard stories about a species called humans, but the reports made them sound primitive. Simple creatures who had barely left their homeworld. "How big is this ship?" HFY asked. "Nearly 3 times the size of our largest battlecruiser," Rivan replied, his voice filled with surprise. "But the design is very basic. Crude, even. It looks like they just stuck metal plates together and hoped for the best." The Volani crew gathered around the displays looking at the strange human vessel. It was long and gray with simple lines and no decoration. Compared to the elegant curves of Volani ships, it looked like something a child might build with scrap metal. "Are there any signs of life?" HFY wanted to know. "Yes, Commander. We detect about 800 beings aboard. They seem to be moving around normally. But their ship appears to be having problems."
Many systems show as offline or running at low power. HFY thought about this. The Volani High Command had ordered all exploration fleets to gather information about other species they encountered. This could be a perfect chance to learn
"About human technology without starting a fight. Send a message to their ship," he ordered. "Tell them we are peaceful explorers and ask if they need help." The communication officer worked at his station for several minutes. "Commander, I am getting a response. They say their name is..." Let me check the translation. "The KDS Indomitable. Their captain is someone called Lee Hyun." "What did they say? About our offer to help?" "They thank us for our concern. They say they are just doing routine maintenance and repairs. They invite us to come aboard if we wish to meet them." HFY smiled. This was even better than he had hoped. "Tell them, we accept their invitation. Prepare a survey team. I want to know everything about their ship and their technology." On board the human vessel, Captain Lee Hyun stood in his command center, watching the alien ship approach. He was a calm man with steady eyes and gray hair. His uniform was simple and practical, like everything else on the ship. "What do you think of our visitors?" asked Dr. Park Mina, his chief science officer. She was younger than the captain with quick eyes that missed nothing. "They seem curious about us," Lee Hyun replied. "Their message was polite enough, but I notice they are scanning our ship very carefully." "Should we be worried?" Park Mina asked. "Not worried. Careful, yes, let them look around. It will be interesting to see what they think of our ship." "Are you sure that is wise, Captain? If they learn too much about our capabilities, Lee Hyun smiled slightly. "Dr. Park, I think you are forgetting something. They will only see what we want them to see." Park Mina nodded, understanding. The human ship had many secrets, and the crew knew how to keep them hidden. The alien shuttle approached the docking bay of the Indomitable. The human crew watched through cameras as the strange vessel connected to their ship. The aliens were tall and thin with pale blue skin and large eyes. They moved gracefully like dancers. "They look peaceful enough," observed Lieutenant Commander Kim Dae, the ship's security officer. "But I will keep watching them anyway." "Good idea," agreed Lee Hyun. "Dr. Park, please meet our guests and give them a tour. Show them the parts of the ship we discussed. Be helpful, but not too helpful." The airlock opened with a soft hiss. Commander HFY stepped aboard the human ship, followed by 6 members of his survey team. The first thing he noticed was how clean everything looked. The walls were smooth metal, painted white with soft lighting that made everything easy to see. Dr. Park Mina was waiting to greet them. She bowed slightly, which seemed to be a human gesture of respect. "Welcome aboard the Indomitable," she said. "I am Dr. Park Mina, Chief Science Officer. Captain Lee Hyun sends his greetings." "Thank you for allowing us to visit," HFY replied. "I am Commander HFY. These are my science specialists. We are very interested to learn about your ship." Of course. Please follow me. I will show you around. As they walked through the corridors, the Villani team made careful notes about everything they saw. The ship seemed well built but simple. The humans they passed in the hallways nodded politely but did not seem worried about having aliens aboard their ship. Your ship is much larger than it appeared from outside, Riv-On commented. Yes, we like to have plenty of space, Park Mina replied. This is our main corridor. Most of the crew quarters and work areas are along here. They passed what looked like a dining area where humans were eating together and talking quietly. The aliens noticed that the humans seemed relaxed and comfortable. This was not what they expected from a ship that was supposed to be having technical problems. You said you were doing maintenance? Asked one of the Villani specialists. That is correct. Routine maintenance. Nothing serious. We like to keep our ship in good condition. Park Mina led them to a large window where they could see space outside. This is one of our observation decks. We use it for navigation and planning. The Villani team looked out at their own ship, floating nearby. It looked small compared to the human vessel. How many people live on this ship? Thexai asked. About 800 crew members. We are designed for long missions, so we need space for everyone to live and work comfortably. Long missions? How long do you stay away from your home world? Sometimes, several years. Space is very big and there is much to explore. This surprised the Villani. Their own ships rarely stayed away from home for more than a few months. The idea of traveling for years seemed almost impossible. Would you like to see our engine room? Park Mina asked. I think you would find it interesting. The aliens looked at each other with excitement. The engine room would tell them a lot about human technology. Yes, very much, Thexai said. As they walked deeper into the ship, Riv-On made quiet notes about everything he saw. The ship was much more complex than it had appeared from outside. The corridors were lined with panels and displays that showed various information about the ship's systems. Everything looked functional but not particularly advanced. Here we are, Park Mina said, stopping in front of a large door. Our main engineering section. The door slid open smoothly, and they stepped into a vast room filled with humming machinery. The engine room was clean and well organized with humans working at various stations. Everything seemed to be running normally. This is impressive, admitted one of the Villani specialists. Much larger than our own engine rooms. We need a lot of power for a ship this size, explained Park Mina. These are our main reactors. She pointed to several large cylindrical structures that seemed to glow with soft blue light. The aliens studied them carefully, trying to understand how they worked. What kind of fuel do you use? Riv-On asked. Mostly hydrogen fusion, Park Mina replied. Simple but effective. The Villani exchanged glances. Hydrogen fusion was indeed simple technology, something they had been using for many centuries. But the human reactors looked different somehow. More compact and efficient than anything the Villani had seen before. Would it be possible to see your technical specifications? Thexai asked carefully. Park Mina smiled. I am sorry, but that information is restricted, I hope you understand. Of course, we would not share our own technical data with strangers either. But privately, Thexai was disappointed. He had hoped the humans would be more trusting. Still, they had seen enough to make some interesting observations. As the tour continued, the Villani team began to notice small details that did not quite make sense. The ship claimed to be having technical problems, but everything they saw worked perfectly. The humans seemed too relaxed for people dealing with a crisis, and some of the technology they glimpsed seemed more advanced than it should be for such a supposedly primitive species. Something is not right here, Riv-On whispered to his commander when Park Mina was not listening. I agree, Thexai replied quietly, but we will continue our survey. I want to learn as much as possible about these humans. Neither of them realized that their whispered conversation was being recorded by sensors hidden in the walls. In the Aoudar ship's security center, Lieutenant Commander Kim Day listened to their words and smiled. The aliens were starting to become suspicious. Soon, things would become much more interesting. The next morning, The Vellani survey team returned to the human ship with more equipment. Commander Thexhai had decided they needed to do a more detailed study of the vessel's systems. Something about their first visit had left him feeling uneasy. Today, we will scan their hull composition and energy systems more carefully, he told his team as they prepared to board the Indomitable again. I want to know exactly what kind of materials they use and how their power systems really work. Tactical, Assessor Velcorum carried a portable scanner that could analyze almost any material or energy source. He was excited to use it on human technology. Commander, if their systems are as primitive as they appear, this should be a simple survey. Dr. Park Mina met them at the airlock again, wearing the same friendly smile. Welcome back. Captain Lee. Hyun has given permission for you to conduct your detailed scans. We want to be as helpful as possible. Thank you, Thexhai replied. We appreciate your cooperation. But as they began their work, things quickly became confusing. Velkarim aimed his scanner at the nearest wall and frowned at the readings. This is strange, he muttered. What do you see? Asked Riv-An. The hull material. It is not showing up properly on my scanner. The readings keep changing. Park Mina looked interested. Is there a problem with your equipment? No. Our scanners are very reliable, but the material in your walls seems to be shifting somehow, like it is changing its structure while I watch. How unusual, Park Mina said calmly. Perhaps your scanners are not calibrated for our materials. Meanwhile, in the engineering section of the ship, Ensign Choi Yuna was watching the aliens' activities on her monitors. She was young for her position but very skilled with the ship's systems. Next to her, Lieutenant Commander Kim Dae observed the aliens' scanning attempts. They are getting confused readings from the adaptive hull plating, Choi, Yuna reported quietly. Should I adjust the material properties to give them clearer results? No, Kim Dae replied. Let them figure it out themselves. It will be interesting to see how they react. Back with the survey team, Velkarim was becoming more frustrated. Every time he scanned a different part of the ship, he got different results. The metal seemed to change density and composition depending on where he pointed his scanner. This makes no sense, he complained. How can the same ship be made of so many different materials? Maybe they built it from salvaged parts, suggested one of the other Vellani specialists. Primitive species often do that. But Riv-An was not convinced. He had been watching the humans carefully, and they seemed too confident and organized for a primitive species. I think we should scan their computer systems, he suggested to Thexhai. Good idea. Dr. Park, would it be possible to examine your ship's computer network? Park Mina looked thoughtful. I will need to check with Captain Lee Hyun. Computer systems are usually restricted, but since you are our guests... She spoke quietly, into a communication device, then nodded. The captain says you may scan our public computer networks, but please do not attempt to access any classified systems. Of course not. We only want to understand your basic technology level. Rivan set up his computer analysis equipment in what the humans called a computer lab. The room was filled with displays and control panels that looked fairly standard. Nothing seemed particularly advanced. But when he began his scans, Rivan immediately noticed something odd. The computers were running much faster than they should be able to. The processing speed was far beyond what basic technology could achieve. These calculations, he whispered to himself, studying the data flowing across his screen. This is quantum processing, but that is impossible. Quantum computers require technology that takes centuries to develop. He ran the scan again, thinking he had made an error. But the results were the same. The human computers were using quantum processing methods that the Vellani had only recently begun to understand. Commander, he called Thexhai over to look at his readings. I think you need to see this. Thexhai studied the scanner results with growing amazement. Are you certain these readings are correct? I have checked them 3 times. Either our equipment is completely broken, or these humans have computer technology that is far more advanced than anything we have seen before. Dr. Park Mina appeared beside them, carrying a tray with drinks. You look puzzled. Is everything all right? Your computers, Thexhai said carefully. They seem to be running very fast. Oh, that. Yes, we have made some improvements to our processing systems. Nothing too special. Would you like some tea? The casual way she offered refreshments while discussing advanced technology made the aliens even more confused. How could humans treat quantum computing like it was nothing unusual? In another part of the ship, Velkarim was having his own problems. He had been trying to scan the ship's power systems, but the energy readings were completely bizarre. The reactors seemed to be producing far more power than they should be able to. The energy output is impossible, he reported to his team. According to my scanners, this ship is generating enough power to supply our entire home city. That cannot be right, said another Villani specialist. Check your equipment again. But multiple scans gave the same results. The human ship was somehow producing enormous amounts of energy using what appeared to be simple fusion reactors. Chief, Engineer Nam Jiwan noticed the aliens' confusion and decided to approach them. She was a small woman with grease stains on her uniform, looking like she had been working on machinery all day. Having trouble with your scanners? She asked in a friendly voice. Our equipment is showing very strange readings from your power systems, Velkarim admitted. Oh, that might be because we are running some tests today. We are trying out a few modifications to improve efficiency. Nothing major, just some tweaks we thought of. Modifications? What kind of modifications? Nam Jiwan scratched her head, leaving another grease mark. Well, we figured out how to compress the fusion reaction a bit more, and we added some new magnetic containment fields. Just small improvements, really. The aliens stared at her. Compressing fusion reactions and improving magnetic containment were extremely advanced techniques. The Villani had teams of scientists working on similar problems for decades. These small improvements, Dexhai said slowly. How long did they take you to develop? Oh, maybe a few months. Our engineering team likes to experiment when we have time between missions. A few months. The Villani had been working on fusion improvements for years and had achieved much less progress. As the day continued, the survey team encountered more and more things that did not make sense. The ship's navigation systems used star mapping techniques that were incredibly sophisticated. The life support systems could apparently adjust the air composition for any species they might encounter. The communication arrays could send messages across impossible distances. Every time they asked about these advanced systems, the humans gave simple explanations that made everything sound routine and normal. But the technology behind these systems was anything but routine. I do not understand, Rivan said to Thexhai during a private moment. Either these humans are the most brilliant species in the galaxy or what? Or they are deliberately hiding their true capabilities from us. Thexhai had been thinking the same thing. The humans were too casual about technology that should have taken centuries to develop. They acted like quantum computers, and advanced fusion systems were nothing special. Why would they hide their technology level? He wondered. Maybe they do not trust us yet, or maybe they want us to underestimate them. That evening, as the Villani team prepared to return to their own ship, Dr. Park Meena gave them a tour of the ship's recreational areas. They saw libraries filled with books and computers, gymnasiums where humans exercised, and common rooms where crew members relaxed together. Everything looked normal and peaceful, but the aliens could not shake the feeling that they were missing something important. Your crew seems very calm for people dealing with technical problems, Velkarim observed. Well, the problems are not serious, Park Meena replied. Just routine. Maintenance, like I mentioned yesterday. Our crew is used to handling these things. And you do not worry about being so far from your home world if something goes wrong? Park Meena smiled. Our ship is very reliable, and we have good engineers. I think we can handle most problems that might come up. As they left the human ship that evening, the Villani team was quiet. Each of them was thinking about what they had seen and trying to make sense of it. Tomorrow we will focus on their weapons systems, Thexhai decided. If they are hiding their true technology level, their weapons will tell us the truth. Do you think they will let us scan their weapons? Asked Velkarim. They have been very cooperative so far. I think they will continue to help us. But Rivan was not so sure. He had been watching the humans carefully, and he suspected they were being allowed to see exactly what the humans wanted them to see, nothing more and nothing less. The question was, what were the humans really hiding? The third day of the survey began with Commander Thexhai feeling more determined than ever to understand what the humans were really hiding. His team had discovered too many impossible things for this to be coincidence. Today we focus on their defensive and weapon systems, he told his specialists as they prepared their equipment. Every species has weapons. The technology level of their weapons will tell us their true capabilities. Rivan had spent the night analyzing all their previous scan data. Commander, I have been thinking about what we have seen. The inconsistencies are too many to ignore. I believe these humans are deliberately showing us false information. False information? How? Their computer systems are using quantum processing, but they claim it is just basic technology. Their power output is impossible for simple fusion reactors. Their hull materials change properties when we scan them. None of this makes sense unless they are controlling what we see. Velcorum nodded in agreement. I have been thinking the same thing, but why would they deceive us? What are they trying to hide? That is what we need to find out today, Thexhai declared. Meanwhile, on the human ship, Major Xin Wu was meeting with Dr. Park Mina to discuss the day's plans. Xin Wu was the ship's security chief, a serious man with careful eyes who noticed everything. The aliens are becoming suspicious, he reported. They know something is not right with what they are seeing. Good, Park Mina replied. Captain Li Hyun wants them to start understanding that we are not as simple as we appear. But we must be careful about how much we reveal. Are you sure this is wise? If they learn too much about our real capabilities, then they will have to decide whether they want to be our friends or our enemies. Better to let them know the truth now than surprise them later. Ensign Choi Yuna looked up from her computer station. The aliens are requesting permission to scan our weapon systems. Should I start preparing the display scenarios? Yes, but keep it simple at first. Let them see our basic defensive systems. We will show them more advanced systems only if they ask the right questions. When the Villani team arrived, Dr. Park Mina met them with her usual friendly smile. Good morning. I understand you want to examine our weapons systems today. If that is possible, Thexhai replied. We are interested in learning about your defensive capabilities. Of course. Captain Li Hyun has approved your request. Please follow me. She led them through corridors they had not seen before, deeper into the ship. The walls here looked thicker and more heavily reinforced. The aliens noticed that the lighting was different too, with a slight blue tint that made everything seem more serious. This is our main weapons control center, Park Mina announced as they entered a large room filled with displays and control stations. Several humans were working at the stations, monitoring various systems. Lieutenant Colonel Han Soo-young looked up from her station as they entered. She was the ship's weapons officer, a woman with steady hands and sharp eyes. Welcome to Weapons Control. I understand you want to learn about our defensive systems. Yes, please, said Velkarim, already setting up his scanning equipment. Very well. This is our main defensive array. Han Soo-young pointed to a large display that showed a three-dimensional image of the ship surrounded by various energy fields. We use it to protect against asteroids and space debris. The display looked impressive but not particularly advanced. The Villani had similar systems on their own ships. What about weapons for fighting other ships? Asked Rivan. We prefer to avoid fighting, Han Soo-young replied, but we do have some basic defensive weapons in case we are attacked. She touched a control and the display changed to show what looked like standard energy cannons and missile launchers. Again, nothing the Villani had not seen before. But Velkarim's scanner was giving him strange readings again. According to his equipment, the energy signatures coming from these basic weapons were far beyond anything he had ever measured. Your defensive systems, he said carefully. They seem to generate a lot of energy, do they? I had not noticed, Han Soo-young said with a slight smile. Meanwhile, Commander Kang Minho was working at the navigation station nearby. He was responsible for the ship's movement and positioning systems. As the aliens scanned the weapons, he was quietly making adjustments to the ship's position in space. Navigation officer, Thexai called to him. What are you doing? Just routine position keeping, Kang Minho replied, without looking up from his controls. We like to stay in exactly the right place. But Rivan noticed that the ship was not just maintaining position. According to his readings, it was making tiny movements that followed complex mathematical patterns. It was like the ship was dancing in space, but so subtly that only the most sensitive instruments could detect it. Why do you need such precise positioning? He asked. Space is a big place, Kang Minho answered. Small errors can become big problems over long distances. This was true, but the level of precision the humans were achieving was far beyond what should be necessary for simple navigation. Dr. Park Mina noticed that the aliens were looking confused again. Would you like to see our engineering spaces? Chief Engineer Nam Jiwon is working on some interesting projects today. They found Nam Jiwon in a workshop area surrounded by machinery that seemed to be building something. She was covered in grease and looked like she had been working for hours. What are you building? Asked Thexai. Oh, just some improvements to our sensor systems, Nam Ji-won replied, wiping her hands on a cloth. We thought of a way to make them work better. The aliens looked at the machinery she was working with. It appeared to be some kind of manufacturing system, but it was working with materials at a level of precision they had never seen before. The machine was building components one atom at a time. Atomic-level manufacturing? Whispered Velkarim. To Rivan, that technology is theoretical even for us. I know, Rivan whispered back. But they act like it is nothing special. Nam Ji-won noticed their conversation. Is there something wrong? Your manufacturing system, Thexai said. It appears to be very advanced. Advanced? Not really. We just figured out how to make things more precisely. It saves time and materials. How long did it take you to develop this technology? Nam Ji-won thought for a moment. Maybe a year or two. The hardest part was getting the control systems to work properly. A year or two. The Villani had entire research institutes working on atomic manufacturing, and they had been at it for decades without success. As the day continued, the aliens saw more and more things that challenged their understanding of what was possible. The humans showed them life support systems that could create any atmosphere needed for any species. They demonstrated communication systems that could send messages instantly across any distance. They revealed manufacturing systems that could build anything from raw atoms. Every time the aliens asked about these incredible technologies, the humans gave simple explanations that made everything sound routine. I think we need to ask more direct questions, Thexai told his team during a private moment. These humans are either the most advanced species in the galaxy, or they are very good at lying to us. What kind of direct questions? Asked Velkorim. Tia. Us ask them about their military capabilities. Real military capabilities, not just defensive systems. They found Captain Lee Hyun in his command center, studying reports from his officers. He looked up as they approached and smiled politely. Captain, Thexai said, we have been very impressed by your ship, but we are curious about one thing. How would this ship perform in actual combat? Lee Hyun considered the question carefully. We hope never to find out. But if we were forced to fight, I believe we would defend ourselves adequately. Adequately? We are not a warlike species, Commander Thexai. We build our ships for exploration and peaceful contact with other species. But we are not helpless. Could you show us what not helpless means? Lee Hyun looked at Dr. Park Mina, who nodded slightly. Very well. Dr. Park, please ask Lieutenant Colonel Han to give our guests a demonstration of our basic combat capabilities. The word basic worried the aliens, but they followed Dr. Park Mina back to the weapons control center. Han Soo-young was waiting for them with a different display active. This one showed the space around the ship in much greater detail. There is an asteroid field about 1 million kilometers away, she explained. We can use it for target practice. Would you like to see how our weapons perform against asteroids? Yes, very much, Thexai replied. Han Soo-young touched a series of controls. On the display, they could see energy beams reaching out toward the distant asteroids. The beams moved too fast to follow, but the results were immediate. The asteroid simply vanished, not destroyed or broken apart. They were there one moment and gone the next, as if they had never existed. How? Velkarim started to ask, then stopped. Basic energy projection. Han Soo-young said calmly. We find it effective for clearing navigation hazards. Rivan was staring at his scanner readings in shock. The energy levels required to completely destroy asteroids at that distance were beyond anything his science could explain. That was not destruction, he whispered. That was matter conversion. You turned those asteroids into pure energy. Did we? Han Soo-young asked with interest. I just pushed the fire button. I leave the technical details to the... Captain Lee Hyun sat across from Commander Thexhai in a quiet meeting room. The alien leader looked troubled, his large eyes showing worry and confusion. Dr. Park Mina and Major Shin Woo were also present, watching the Vellani commander carefully. Captain Lee Hyun, Thexhai began slowly. I must ask you directly. What exactly is this ship? It is exactly what we told you, Lee Hyun replied calmly. A deep space exploration vessel conducting routine maintenance. Routine maintenance that includes matter conversion weapons? We prefer to call them asteroid clearing systems. Thexhai leaned forward. Captain, my science team has detected technology on your ship that should not be possible. Quantum computers that process information faster than light. Power systems that generate more energy than small stars. Manufacturing systems that build things one atom at a time. And now weapons that can turn matter into pure energy. Lee Hyun nodded thoughtfully. Your science team is very observant. So you admit that your technology is more advanced than you originally claimed? Commander Thexhai, we never claimed anything about our technology level. You made assumptions, based on what you saw. We simply did not correct your assumptions. The alien commander felt a chill run through his body. You deliberately let us underestimate you. We let you form your own opinions based on your observations. Dr. Park Mina spoke up. Commander, may I ask why this concerns you so much? We have been cooperative and helpful during your survey. Because, Thexhai said quietly, if your technology is as advanced as it appears, then this single ship could potentially destroy our entire fleet. That would be unfortunate, Lee Hyun agreed. We would prefer to avoid such unpleasantness. The casual way the human captain discussed the destruction of an entire alien fleet made Thexhai even more worried. Captain, I must ask, how many ships like this one does humanity possess? Lee Hyun exchanged a glance with Dr. Park Mina. I think it would be helpful if you met more of our crew. Chief Engineer Nam Ji-won wanted to show you something. They found Nam Ji-won in the ship's main engineering section, working on what appeared to be maintenance of the central reactor systems. But when the aliens looked more closely, they realized she was not just maintaining the systems. She was modifying them while they were running. Chief Nam, Dr. Park Mina said, could you explain to our guests what you are working on? Nam Ji-won looked up from her work, her face streaked with grease but her eyes bright with enthusiasm. Oh, I am just making some adjustments to our power distribution network. We thought of a way to improve efficiency by about 15%. You are modifying your power systems while they are operating? Velkarim asked in amazement. Sure, it is easier than shutting everything down. We designed the systems to be adjustable. Rivan was studying his scanner readings with growing horror. The power levels, they are increasing even as we watch. How is that possible? Well, Nam Ji-won explained patiently. We figured out that if you adjust the magnetic containment fields in just the right way, you can compress the fusion reaction more tightly. More compression means more energy output. But the containment fields would collapse under that much pressure, protested one of the Vellani specialists. Not if you reinforce them with gravitational manipulation, Nam Ji-won replied as if this was obvious. The aliens stared at her in silence. Gravitational manipulation was something the Vellani considered theoretically possible, but practically impossible. It would require technology that could control the fundamental forces of space and time. Gravitational manipulation, Thexhai repeated slowly. You can control gravity? Just a little bit. Enough to help with the magnetic containment. It is not really that complicated once you understand the mathematics. Commander Kang Minho looked up from his navigation station nearby. Chief Nam, are you explaining our gravity control systems? Just the basics, Nam Jiwan replied. They were asking about the power modifications. Ah. Well, while you are explaining things, perhaps you could mention how we use gravitational fields for navigation as well. Kang Minho turned to address the aliens directly. You see, controlling gravity makes space travel much more efficient. Instead of pushing against space, we can bend space around us. It lets us move faster and use less energy. You bend space? Krivan whispered, his voice filled with awe and terror. Just locally. Nothing dramatic. We are not trying to break the universe or anything like that. The casual way the humans discussed bending space-time made the aliens feel sick with fear. These were technologies that entire civilizations worked toward for thousands of years, without success. The humans talked about them like they were simple engineering problems. How long has your species had these technologies? Thexhai asked. Which ones specifically? Asked Dr. Park Mina. Gravitational manipulation, space-time distortion, matter conversion. Oh, those. Maybe 50 or 60 years for the basic principles. We have been refining the applications for the past 20 years or so. 50 years. The Villani had been trying to understand gravity control for over 1,000 years. Lieutenant Colonel Han Soo-young approached the group, carrying a datapad. Captain Lee Hyun, the weapon system modifications are complete. Would you like me to run a test? What kind of modifications? Lee Hyun asked. Just some improvements to the targeting systems. Chief Nam's power upgrades let us increase the effective range of our defensive systems. How much of an increase? About 300%. We can now engage targets accurately at distances up to 1 light-year. The aliens looked at each other in shock. 1 light-year was an enormous distance in space combat. Most species could only fight effectively across a few million kilometers at most. 1 light-year? Thexhai repeated weakly. Give or take a few billion kilometers, Han Soo-young confirmed. The targeting computer needs to account for a lot of variables at that range, but it seems to be working well. What kind of targeting? Computer can calculate shots across interstellar distances, asked Velkorim. We use a consciousness-guided system, explained Dr. Park Mina. The computer interfaces directly with the gunner's mind to process the calculations. Consciousness-guided systems? You have connected your minds to your computers? Not permanently, just during combat operations. It makes the targeting much more accurate. The idea of connecting organic minds directly to quantum computers was terrifying to the Villani. They had never even considered such a possibility. Dr. Park, Captain Lee Hyun said, I think our guests would benefit from seeing our complete defensive capabilities. Please ask all department heads to prepare a full system demonstration. A full demonstration? Dr. Park Mina asked. Are you certain that is wise? Yes. I think it is time for complete honesty. Over the next several hours, the Villani survey team was given a comprehensive tour of the Indomitable's true capabilities. They saw defensive systems that could create energy barriers around the entire ship. They witnessed manufacturing systems that could build new weapons in minutes. They observed navigation systems that could fold space to move the ship instantly across vast distances. Each new revelation was more terrifying than the last. The humans had not just advanced beyond Villani technology. They had advanced beyond what the Villani thought was theoretically possible. Captain, Thexhai said when the demonstrations were complete, I must ask again. How many ships like this does humanity have? The Indomitable is actually one of our older designs, Lee Hyun replied. We have been building improved versions for several years now. How many? Thexhai insisted. Currently, humanity operates approximately 2,000 vessels of this class or better, 2,000 ships, each one capable of destroying entire fleets. The number made Thexhai feel dizzy. And these are your exploration ships? He asked weakly. Yes. Our actual military vessels are somewhat more capable. More capable than this? The Indomitable is designed for long-range exploration and peaceful, Contact with other species. Our military ships are designed for warfare. There is a significant difference in capabilities. Rivan was staring at his scanner readings with the expression of someone whose entire worldview had just collapsed. Commander, he whispered to Thexhai, according to my readings, this ship has enough firepower to destroy our entire home world. Just the planetary surface, corrected Nam Jiwan, who had overheard. Actually, destroying a whole planet takes much more energy. Though I suppose we could do that too if we really needed to. The casual way she discussed planetary destruction was the final blow to the aliens' composure. They sat in stunned silence, trying to process what they had learned. Why? Thexhai finally asked. Why did you let us survey your ship? Why did you reveal all this to us? Captain Li Hyun looked at him with calm, steady eyes. Because, Commander Thexhai, it is better for you to know the truth now than to discover it later, under less pleasant circumstances. What do you mean? Your government will need to decide how it wants to interact with humanity. We prefer peaceful relationships with other species, but we will not tolerate aggression or threats. It is better for your leaders to make informed decisions. The meaning was clear. Humanity was offering friendship, but they were also demonstrating the consequences of choosing otherwise. Thexhai realized that he now faced the most important decision of his life. What should he tell his government about what he had discovered? The next morning brought a request that chilled Commander Thexhai to his core. Captain Li Hyun had invited the Villani survey team to witness what he called a practical demonstration of our ship's capabilities. A demonstration? Thexhai asked, nervously as he and his team gathered in the Indomitable's main observation deck. Yes, replied Lieutenant Colonel Han Soo-young, who was preparing various control systems. Captain Li Hyun thought it would be helpful for you to see our systems in actual operation, rather than just theoretical displays. Dr. Park Mina gestured toward the large windows that showed the space around them. We have located a suitable asteroid field about 5 million kilometers away. It will serve perfectly for our purposes. The aliens looked out at the distant asteroid field, which appeared as nothing more than tiny specks of light against the stars. The fact that the humans could even see individual asteroids at that distance suggested their sensors were far more powerful than anything the Villani possessed. What exactly will you be demonstrating? Asked Rivan, his voice barely above a whisper. Standard defensive and navigation procedures, Captain Li Hyun replied as he entered the observation area. The kind of things we might need to do if we encountered hostile forces. The word hostile made all the aliens step backward involuntarily. Commander Kang Minho was working at his navigation station, making precise adjustments to the ship's position. Captain, we are in optimal position for the demonstration. All systems are ready. Very good. Chief Nam, how are our power levels? Nam Jiwan's voice came through the communication system from the engineering section. All reactors operating at maximum efficiency, Captain. Power output is steady at 1,200% of original design specifications. 1,200%. The aliens exchanged terrified glances. The ship was operating at power levels that should have torn it apart. Excellent. Lieutenant Colonel Han, please begin with basic defensive measures. Han Soo-young touched a series of controls, and immediately the space around the Indomitable began to shimmer. Energy barriers sprang into existence, creating a protective shell around the entire ship. Basic deflector shields, she explained to the stunned aliens. These can stop most conventional weapons and protect against radiation and debris. Velkorim aimed his scanner at the energy barriers and nearly dropped the device when he saw the readings. The energy density. It is impossible. Those shields could stop anything. Not anything, Han Soo-young corrected. They are just our basic defensive systems. We have much stronger shields if we need them. Stronger? Thexhai croaked. Oh yes. Watch this. She activated additional controls and the energy barriers around the ship began to change. They became brighter and more complex, forming layered patterns that hurt to look at directly. Enhanced defensive screens, Han Soo-young announced. These can absorb the energy from enemy weapons and redirect it back at the attackers. The aliens watched in horror as the defensive systems grew stronger and more sophisticated. What had started as basic shields had become something that could probably protect the ship from the combined firepower of an entire fleet. Now for navigation. Systems, Captain Li Hyun said. Commander Kang, please demonstrate our movement capabilities. Yes, sir. Beginning spatial distortion sequence. The space around the Indomitable began to bend and twist in ways that made the aliens feel sick to watch. The ship itself seemed to stretch and compress, as if reality was becoming flexible. We are creating a localized space-time distortion field, Kang Minho explained calmly. This allows us to move through space without actually traveling through the intervening distance. You are warping space, Rivan whispered in awe. Just a small area around the ship. We can create much larger distortions, if necessary. The ship suddenly appeared to fold in on itself, then reappear millions of kilometers away, right in the middle of the asteroid field. The transition happened so quickly that the aliens barely saw it occur. Instantaneous travel across 5 million kilometers, Kang Minho reported. Navigation systems functioning perfectly. The Volani team stared out at the asteroids surrounding them, each one larger than their own ship. They had traveled a distance that should have taken hours in mere seconds. How is this possible? Velkarim asked weakly. Space-time manipulation, Dr. Park Mina replied. When you understand the mathematics of space-time curvature, you can create shortcuts through folded space. The mathematics alone would take our greatest scientists centuries to develop, Thexhai protested. Really? We found the basic equations, fairly straightforward once we understood the quantum nature of gravity. The casual way she discussed rewriting the laws of physics made the aliens feel faint. Now for weapons demonstration, Captain Li Hyun announced. Lieutenant Colonel Han, please show our guests our basic firepower. Which weapon system would you prefer to demonstrate, Captain? Start with the standard energy projectors. Han Soo-young selected targets among the surrounding asteroids, engaging multiple targets with basic energy weapons. Beams of light shot out from the Indomitable, each one striking a different asteroid. But instead of simply destroying the rocks, the beams seemed to unravel them at a fundamental level. The asteroids did not explode or break apart. They simply ceased to exist, their matter converted into pure energy that flashed briefly and then disappeared. Matter conversion beam, Han Soo-young explained. Very efficient for clearing obstacles. You destroyed matter at the atomic level, Rivan said in shock. We prefer to think of it as recycling. The energy goes back into the universe. What about larger targets? Captain Li Hyun asked. We could demonstrate the gravitational compression weapons, Han Soo-young suggested. Please do. She selected a particularly large asteroid, one that was several kilometers across. Instead of firing an energy beam, the weapon system created a gravitational field around the asteroid. The aliens watched in fascination and terror as the massive rock began to compress under its own gravity. Within minutes, the kilometer-wide asteroid had been compressed into a tiny sphere of incredibly dense matter. Then even that disappeared as the gravitational field collapsed and the compressed matter was converted into energy. Localized gravity manipulation, Han Soo-young reported. Useful for dealing with large obstacles. You created a black hole, Thexhai whispered. A very small one. And we made sure it evaporated safely. We are very careful about that sort of thing. The idea that humans could create and control black holes as weapons was beyond terrifying. It suggested they had mastered forces that could destroy entire star systems. Are there any other weapons you would like to see? Captain Li Hyun asked politely. The aliens could only shake their heads. They had seen enough. Very well. Chief, now please demonstrate our manufacturing capabilities. Right away, Captain, beginning construction sequence. Through the observation windows, the aliens could see mechanical systems emerging from the Indomitable's hull. These systems began gathering the scattered debris from the destroyed asteroids and processing it into raw materials. Our mobile manufacturing systems, Nam Ji-won's voice explained. They can build anything we need using available materials. The aliens watched in amazement as the manufacturing systems constructed an entire new spacecraft from asteroid debris. The process took less than an hour, and the finished product was clearly a sophisticated vessel with its own weapons and defensive systems. A fully functional escort ship, Nam Ji-won reported. complete with all standard systems and ready for operation. And you built it from asteroid fragments? Belcorum asked. The materials are all the same at the atomic level. We just rearranged the atoms into the configurations we need. The escort ship activated its own systems and took up a position, alongside the Indomitable. 2 ships where there had been one created from nothing but space debris. Could you build more ships? Thexai asked fearfully. As many as we need, Captain Lee Hyun replied, as long as we have raw materials available. The implications were staggering. A single human ship could arrive in a star system and quickly build an entire fleet using nothing but local materials. Captain, Dr. Park Mina said, perhaps we should demonstrate our sensor capabilities as well. Good idea. Commander Kang, please show our guests our scanning range. Kang Minho activated the ship's sensor systems, and a 3-dimensional display appeared showing the space around them. But the display kept expanding, showing larger and larger areas of space. Current sensor range, he announced, approximately 50 light-years in all directions. 50 light-years. The aliens could barely comprehend such a distance. The Volani's most powerful sensors could reach perhaps 1 light-year under ideal conditions. We can detect and analyze any object larger than a small asteroid anywhere within that range, Kang Minho continued, including ships, planets, and artificial structures. You can see our home star system from here, Riv-An realized with growing horror. Yes. And all the Volani ships within 50 light-years of our current position. The display showed several dozen Volani vessels scattered across multiple star systems. Ships that thought they were hidden or conducting secret missions were clearly visible to the human sensors. We have been monitoring your fleet movements for several weeks, Captain Lee Hyun admitted. We wanted to make sure this meeting would not be interrupted by other. Commander Thexai sat alone in his quarters aboard the Volani ship, staring at the data pad spread across his desk. 3 days of survey reports lay before him, each page more terrifying than the last. The numbers and technical specifications told a story that would change everything for his species. A soft chime announced a visitor. Enter, he called wearily. Rivian stepped into the room, his normally pale blue skin looking almost gray with exhaustion and worry. Commander, I have finished my final analysis of the human ship. And the Indomitable represents technology that is centuries ahead of our most advanced theoretical work, possibly thousands of years ahead. Riv-An's voice was barely above a whisper. If their claims are true, and this is just a standard exploration vessel, then humanity possesses military capabilities that could eliminate our entire civilization in a matter of days. Thexai nodded slowly. He had reached the same conclusion, but hearing it stated so clearly made his stomach feel sick. What about their claims that they have 2,000 ships of this class? Based on the manufacturing capabilities we observed, I believe their claims are conservative. They could probably build 2,000 ships in a few months if they wanted to. And their actual military vessels. Rivan was quiet for a long moment. Commander, I do not think we should find out what their military vessels can do. Through the viewport, Thexai could see the human ship floating peacefully in space. It looked so innocent from the outside, just gray metal and simple lines. Nothing about its appearance suggested the devastating power it contained. Have you decided what you will report to the High Command? Rivan asked. That is the question, is it not? Thexai stood and moved to the viewport. Do I tell them the truth and risk starting a war we cannot win? Or do I hide the truth and leave our people unprepared for what humanity represents? There is a third option, which is, we could recommend immediate diplomatic contact, formal negotiations for peaceful relations. Thexai considered this. And if the High Command decides that humanity is too dangerous to be allowed to exist, then our species will probably cease to exist instead. The brutal honesty of the statement hung in the air between them. Both aliens understood the mathematics of the situation. Humanity was simply too powerful for the Volani to challenge successfully. A communication signal interrupted their conversation. Commander Thexai, came the voice of his communication officer. We are receiving a message from the human ship. Captain Lee Hyun requests a private meeting with you. Tell him I will come aboard in 1 hour. Thexhai found Captain Lee Hyun waiting for him in a small, comfortable room that seemed designed for quiet conversations. Dr. Park Mina was also present, along with a human he had not met before. Commander Thexhai, Lee Hyun said, gesturing to a chair. Please sit. I would like you to meet Admiral Kim Ji-soo, commanding officer of the Earth Defense Force. The new human was older than the others, with silver hair and eyes that had seen many battles. Despite her peaceful demeanor, there was something about her that suggested vast experience with warfare. Admiral? Thexhai asked. I thought Captain Lee Hyun was the senior officer present. Captain Lee Hyun commands this ship, Admiral Kim explained. I command the defense of human space. I have been observing your survey mission with great interest. You have been here the entire time? My ship has been nearby, yes. The Indomitable is not the only human vessel in this area. Thexhai felt another chill. There were more human ships nearby and his sensors had never detected them. How many ships? Enough, Admiral Kim replied simply. But that is not why I asked to meet with you. I want to discuss what happens next. What do you mean? Captain Lee Hyun leaned forward. Commander, you now know the truth about human capabilities. You must decide what to do with that knowledge. You are giving me a choice? Of course. We do not control what you tell your government, but we hope you will. Consider the consequences of your decision carefully. Dr. Park Mina activated a display that showed a star map of the local region. This is Vellani space, she said, highlighting several star systems in blue. And this is human space. More systems appeared in green, far more than the aliens had known about. You have colonies in over 200 star systems, Thexhai observed with growing alarm. 237, actually, Admiral Kim corrected. We have been expanding quietly for several decades. Why did we not know about this? Because we did not want you to know. We prefer to avoid unnecessary attention until we are ready for formal contact. And now you are ready? Now we are ready, Captain Lee Hyun confirmed. The question is whether your people are ready as well. Admiral Kim stood and moved to the star map. Commander Thexhai, I want to be very clear about something. Humanity does not want war with the Vellani people. We have studied your species for many years and we respect your achievements. Your art, your literature, your scientific curiosity. These are things we admire. But, Thexhai sensed there was more coming. But we will not tolerate threats to human colonies or human lives. If your government decides that humanity is too dangerous to exist, they will discover very quickly that the opposite is true. The threat was delivered so calmly that it took a moment for Thexhai to fully understand what had been said. If the Vellani attacked humanity, they would be destroyed. What do you want from us? He asked. Peaceful coexistence, Dr. Park Mina replied. Trade agreements, cultural exchange, shared scientific research, the same things we want from any civilized species. And if we cannot accept peaceful coexistence, then you will be left alone, Admiral Kim said. We will withdraw from this region of space and have no further contact with your people. You will never see another human ship. That sounds reasonable. Would be if it were the only option. But Commander, if your people decide to attack human colonies or ships after we withdraw, then the situation becomes very different. Thexhai understood. Humanity was offering friendship or isolation. But aggression would bring consequences that his people could not survive. I need to ask you something, he said. The demonstration you gave us, the weapons and technology you showed us, was any of it false? Exaggerated to impress us? Captain Lee Hyun and Admiral Kim exchanged a glance. Commander, the Admiral said, everything you saw was real, but it was also conservative. We showed you our older technology, not our most advanced systems. More advanced than what we saw. Significantly more advanced. The Indomitable is nearly 15 years old. Our newest ships are quite different. The idea that there were human ships even more powerful than the Indomitable made Thexhai feel dizzy. Why are you telling me this? He asked. Because, Admiral Kim replied. We want you to make your recommendation to the Vellani High Command based on complete information. Whatever they decide to do, they should understand exactly what they are choosing. Dr. Park Mina touched a control, and the display changed to show detailed technical specifications. Commander, we are prepared to share some of our scientific knowledge with your people if they choose friendship. Medical technology that could extend Volani lifespans by centuries, energy systems that could solve your resource problems, transportation methods that would let your people explore the entire galaxy. And if they choose hostility? Then they choose extinction, Admiral Kim said simply. We hope they will choose wisely. The meeting ended with Thexhai being given a sealed data package containing detailed information about human capabilities and formal proposals for peaceful relations. As he prepared to return to his ship, Captain Lee Hyun walked with him to the docking bay. Commander, the human said quietly, I want you to know that this conversation was not easy for us either. We do not enjoy making threats, even necessary, ones. Then why do it? Because the alternative is worse. If we had remained hidden and your people had discovered us later, under different circumstances, the situation might not have been salvageable. This way your leaders can make informed decisions. You orchestrated this entire encounter. Yes, we knew your exploration fleet was coming to this region. We positioned the Indomitable to be discovered. Everything that happened was planned. Even our decision to survey your ship? Especially that. We wanted you to see our capabilities firsthand. Written reports can be dismissed as exaggeration. What you have seen with your own eyes cannot be denied. Thexhai considered this as they reached the docking bay. Captain Lee Hyun, may I ask what you hope I will recommend to my government? I hope you will recommend peace, the human replied. Not because we demand it, but because it is the best choice for both our peoples. And if they choose otherwise? Then, I hope you will be far away when the consequences begin. As Thexhai's shuttle departed the Indomitable, he looked back at the human ship one last time. It still looked innocent and peaceful, floating quietly in space. But now he knew the truth about what lay beneath that deceptive exterior. The fate of two civilizations now rested on his report. He could recommend peaceful contact and hope his leaders would be wise enough to accept it. He could warn them about human power and risk triggering a war that would destroy his people, or he could try to hide the truth and leave his species vulnerable to a force they could not understand or defeat. As he began writing his report,